They estimated almost 6 million people died because of the war on terror. War is always absurd. The first casualty of war is going to be the truth. It boggles my mind how many Americans are jumping on the bandwagon on this after 20 fucking years. It's almost like, goddamn, I mean, they lied to you. I mean, how is it you're fucking going to believe this shit again?
Warning, this video contains disinformation which has been outlawed by the Ministry of Truth. At any point in this video, you can pause and screenshot the screenshots I have provided to support my ratchet claims. I don't care. According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it would cost about $20 billion to end all homelessness in the United States. Instead, our government gave $54 billion to Ukraine. That's the $40 billion they told you about plus sales tax. You know, no big deal. You could fill your tank up with 54 bill. Just erase a few zeros. That's not including what money goes into federal agencies that get pumped with enormous budgets so they can torture journalists and kill children around the globe. But look, it's only a small fraction of the entire US budget. Compared to 5.5 trillion, 54 billion? Shit, that's like a pack of Skittles. Put it on the credit card. Government spending is like drinking. You can do it responsibly. And since America needs a scapegoat for their financial trauma, we're given this demented old crackhead to pick on and roast.
Look, I know you gotta be frustrated. I know. I can taste it.
On the other side of the conflict is a deformed hobbit known as Zelensky. His rise is somewhat fascinating. He's best known for a TV show created by his own production company, Kvartel 95, in which he plays the Ukrainian president. That's some foreshadowing, alright. He then used the employees in that company to form a political party of the same name as the one in the show to catapult him to his current office, winning 73% of the vote. Touché, or as we say in chess, outstanding move. You want to question the results of that election? Zelensky seems to have a real wet spot for Vladimir Putin, as exemplified in his stand-up comedy.
Знаете, совсем недавно в колонном зале, так все без пафоса там, допало. Киев – мать городов русских. Мать твою городов русских. И поэтому у меня сейчас вопрос к россиянам. Детки. Детоньки вы наши. А шо ж тогда вы про мамку в новостях всякие гадости рассказывают? Мамочку родную. Говорите, что она без вас деточек не проживет. По миру пойдет. Да она рада уже по миру пойти. Только без вас. Независимая, понятно. Мамка, может быть, себе ухажера нашла. Европейца. Богатого. А вы хотите, чтобы с вами и с ним не такая мамка? Она не гулящая. Она верная. Пойдет с тем, у кого денег больше. Потому что мама пойдет с тем, у кого денег больше.
Deep-searing mommy issues aside, it is clear that Troglodyte's disdain for all things Russian was a very early feature of his programming, perhaps the defining characteristic. It wouldn't be too long before the hook-nosed fairy began a worldwide campaign for funding, begging world leaders via Skype hostage video for a whopping $7 billion per month for, quote, national recovery. Greatly abetted not only by NATO funding, but encouragement from the NATO governments encouraging their own people to participate in the war. George W. Bush, the former waterboarder-in-chief, called Zelensky, quote, the Winston Churchill of our time. Could there be an unspoken connection in the two men's passion for feminine activities? George W. Bush was a cheerleader at his high school, Phillips Academy, And Vladimir, well...
Не надо здесь, не надо, что называется, перекладывать с больной головы на здоровую, во всем обвиняя нашу страну. Хочу, чтобы меня услышали и простые граждане западных государств. Вас сейчас настойчиво пытаются убедить в том, что все ваши трудности – это результат каких-то враждебных действий России, что из вашего собственного кошелька надо оплатить борьбу с мифической русской угрозой. Все это ложь. А правда в том, что текущие проблемы, с которыми сталкиваются миллионы людей на Западе, стали результатом многолетних действий правящих элит их государств. Их ошибок, близорукости и амбиций. Эти элиты думают не о том, как улучшить жизнь своих граждан западных стран. Они одержимы своими корыстными интересами и сверхприбылями.
А вы умеете прощать?
Да. Ну и все.
А что невозможно простить?
Предательство.
Я не друг, и не невеста, и не жених. Я президент Российской Федерации.
As of May 2022, Putin seems concerned with expanding Russia's oil industry in response to sanctions put upon him by the US. In past interviews, Putin has flaunted the vast sum of ruble held in the country's reserve. He has recently adopted the gold standard to introduce scarcity. He seems to have shifted away from warmongering and leaned more into economic planning. A theme of Putin's speeches is criticism of, quote, our Western partners, positioning himself as the underdog in any scenario, the perfect foil for America's cheap, self-congratulatory participation trophy mentality. Russia has recently updated its website for their leader with a dynamic interface on every issue you could think of in any language in alphabetical order, with unedited speeches and a search engine. Compare that to whitehouse.gov, in which everything is kept vague, with big font so old people can read. I mean, the section on healthcare is literally 2 sentences, which is more than Joe Biden can remember. Embarrassing. For years, the United States have threatened or enacted economic sanctions against the largest country in the world. In response, Putin has banned 1,000 American people from entering Russia, including the president and vice president, in a seemingly never-ending game of geopolitical checkers. If you go to Zelensky's website, his speeches have all the nuance of an internet troll, antagonistic in nature, even going so far as to nationalize TV news in Ukraine and restricting opposition parties. Totally not a Nazi at all. And so we come to find Ukraine is full of Nazis. There's numerous articles online, carefully hidden by Google, with the full history, which is fascinating and not dull at all. I mean, it's only life, right? Precious moments that could be spent buying diamonds and chasing women, wasting away at your laptop, screenshotting articles of a country you couldn't locate on a map 6 months ago. In conclusion, the media is a lie. Shut off your phone and go outside. But first, listen to my interview with comedian and CIA expert James Inman.
What if all of a sudden our military accepted the Ku Klux Klan as a military militia force and integrated them into the fucking army, and they kept their Ku Klux Klan patches on their goddamn uniform?
I don't know shit about anything that has to do with U.S. foreign policy other than the memes, the whole culture war. Like, I was against Bush when I was a kid, But that was all I fucking knew about it because everyone else was. And then I didn't know that Obama basically did even worse things. And the whole thing just keeps going and going. And no one's really in charge, it seems like. And we can't pinpoint who to go to. We got James Inman on the show. He's one of my favorite comics. I discovered his stuff through Doug Stanhope. He was a really good guy. But I didn't know that that you're also very passionate about this sort of thing, about history and about foreign policy and stuff. And so I'm a fucking idiot. I'm part of like the 80% that like doesn't even like my generation. We don't even watch TV. We don't even own TVs. It's all fucking Twitter at best. But even that's going away, I feel like. And so we have this whole generation, which is probably more from your era, that is so brainwashed and so fucking like perfectly divided between left and right, and however they define it as, and however they choose to move the goalposts in that regard. And so now this whole Ukraine thing, it's like I see what they're doing. It's like a quick Google search. Google says that 10% of our spending is on the military, but then it says in smaller print, it says nearly half of discretionary, the discretionary U.S. budget. And then I had to Google what that means, and I think it means recreational. So it's like recreational war.
I mean, the thing of it is, I wasn't really big on history, but I learned a lot just from reading religion and the history of the CIA, because I was interested in the CIA, and I got a lot of history and a lot of military, national security stuff from just reading books on UFOs. I was surprised during 9/11. It's like, why didn't they scramble jets? How come it took them so long to scramble jets? They regularly scramble jets when they detect unidentified flying object. Within less than 5-10 minutes, they've got jets that find out what the fuck is in the air. So most people, nobody's obsessed with UFOs like I was, so they didn't know any of this shit. So they just assumed, I guess, the military was caught off guard. But the reason I'm not going to be bullshitted is because, I'm not, I don't trust what I read on the internet. I don't trust, conspiracy websites. I don't trust everything I see on YouTube.
For boomers or whatever generation that are so tuned into the cable media, which is what I meant to say. Like my generation doesn't watch cable, so what we have instead are the memes. So like there's a meme out there of Vladimir Zelensky as a stripper with his face on a stripper, and Joe Biden is just throwing money at him. Would you say that that's accurate for like the situation that we're in right now?
Well, I mean, I fucking don't like memes. I mean, I see them. Some of them are funny, but they're so goddamn dumb, and they're so simplistic. And yeah, there for a while they were kind of fun, but when I'm on Facebook, or like I'll join a group, like there's a Doug Stanhope group on Facebook.
I know. I used to be in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like every single post is a goddamn meme. Like Bill Hicks. There's a Bill Hicks group. You go in there and you try to find intelligent people. Every single post, it's a goddamn meme. And it gets boring after a while. Nobody goes into detail. Nobody takes the time to write anything longer than a goddamn sentence or paragraph. I mean, it's like nobody has the goddamn attention span.
Right.
It takes an attention span to read a goddamn book. When the war first started, I could watch RT for a while and I'd watch CNN for a while. The funny thing is they both talked about the same thing, but they were both blaming each other for the same goddamn thing. Russia Today was talking about how Ukraine was putting its forces in civilian areas, which is a war crime. CNN was saying the same goddamn thing. Russia's putting its military in civilian areas, and it's a war crime. And it's so they're both the same. They're just both serving their disinformation from a different perspective.
Yeah, and the real information, the frustrating thing is the real facts are out there. They're just getting harder and harder to find, because you'll have some fucking conservative comedian or whoever complaining about, oh, I can't say the N-word at a barbecue, but meanwhile you have real journalists being held hostage, Julian Assange, and if you Google search, I tried this multiple times, I just wanted to see what the other side was. I wanted to see what Vladimir Putin actually was saying, because it seemed like every clip of him was either doctored or edited weird or whatever. So you have to go to the Kremlin website to get the full speech in context.
Yeah, I mean, because he gave a speech when he was talking about the reasons why they went to war, but it's more than just the Nazis. It's because of NATO encroachment, and it's also kind of an existential threat to Russia. You know, right when they had that coup, that Maidan coup, all those paramilitary groups that Zelensky had no power over, because everyone loves to go, oh, Zelensky's Jewish, how could there be Nazis in the Ukraine? Well, these are paramilitary groups that aren't under control of Zelensky or the government. It'd be like the Proud Boys getting a bunch of guns, and Obama had no power over the Proud Boys or what the fuck they did. And say the Proud Boys started attacking San Francisco. When people say we got Nazis all over the world, there's Nazis in France, we got Nazis in Australia, in America, in Russia. The difference is, if America wanted to get rid of all the goddamn Nazis in America, we could round them all up and we could crush the movement. If Russia wanted to get rid of its Nazis inside its own country, it could fucking haul them all to jail. Zelensky can't do shit about all the Nazis in the Ukraine.
You're saying there's too many?
There's way too many. Some scholars are saying there's over 30 different groups. And I personally, as dumb as I am, I could name 7 off the top of my head that are Nazi, neo-Nazi, fascist groups that are from the Banderite movement.
Yeah.
Azov Battalion.
Right.
Adair. C-14 is a youth movement, like Nazi youth. They take in kids at a young age and teach them how to be a fucking Nazi. Svoboda. There's the right sector, which is huge. You know, there's like 10,000 of those people. And you can't tell me the right sector is not fucking neo-Nazi.
I'm just confused about the whole interest thing. Like, what is our interest versus what is Putin's interest in this country? Is it just money laundering, or is there an environmental? Is it for oil? What is it about this fucking country that everybody's like, Ukraine? First it was COVID, and changed the chip in people's brain. Now it's Ukraine.
It all goes back to the Cold War, you know. So the Pentagon, the CIA, all of these, you know, the CIA was started during the Cold War. If you look at the history of the CIA, all they've ever done is overthrow left-wing governments. You know, Guatemala, you know, it's just a long list of proxy wars or countries that we've overthrown that we considered left-wing, you know, Chile. Finally, we got to the point where we're literally arming neo-Nazi right-wing paramilitary groups in the Ukraine. I mean, that to me is just, it's absurd.
Yeah, same thing with Muslim radicals, by the way, and any other radical group, because we don't care. It's all about who's going to buy these guns.
you know, when Reagan was in office, you know, we were all scared shitless that it was going to be the end of the world because he was putting so much money into nuclear weapons. And Gorbachev and Reagan both got together and they decided to start dismantling some of these nuclear weapons. The deal is, after the Soviet Union fell, the Berlin Wall fell and Soviet Union collapsed, we were able to go in there and get a lot of documents, you know, that they had from the KGB, and we found out that, you know, there were like several times where America and Russia almost came to a nuclear war out of an accident. If Ukraine becomes a NATO state, they're gonna have nuclear weapons in fucking Ukraine. And so what that does is that you know, the accident, you know, you get closer and closer to, like, you know, a leader only has like a couple seconds to react to what they may think is a nuclear attack. That's why it's so dangerous. That's why people like Noam Chomsky are saying, hold on a minute, you know, you guys better think about this. This is kind of fucked up. You know, so it's not so much about, you know, Putin being evil or United States being evil. It's more like, keep these two evil motherfuckers away from each other so we can have life on planet Earth.
Yeah, that definitely is the central issue, isn't it? That people don't want to talk about. But again, the information is out there. Instead, we're fucking arguing about fucking trans kids or abortion or whatever other bullshit they put in the news.
Yeah.
It's like, but the information is out there. Do you have any you say you read all these books. Do you have any recommendations for people who are curious to know more?
The stuff that they have on Amazon is way more radical than the shit you can post on Facebook. You know, there's a lot of good books on Operation Paperclip. Don't read that. There's one girl, dumb as shit, at Jacobson.
Oh shit! I have actually read that the Area 51 thing or whatever.
Yeah. She's kind of dumb. I mean, her take on the whole Roswell UFO thing was outrageously ridiculous.
I was just bored. I'm just like,
yeah,
give me the Spark Notes version.
There's a lot of good books on Operation Paperclip. I wouldn't recommend that Annie Jacobson. She seems a little suspect. Another good book, if you want to read about how fucked up NATO is, there's a book called NATO's Secret Armies.
Write this down, guys, if you want the real truth.
It's kind of hard to read.
And there's also like shit like the Freedom of Information Act.
God damn it.
Right? There's still plenty of shit that the government itself has released, maybe redacted.
It's called NATO's Secret Armies, Operation Gladio and Terrorism in Western Europe. And it was written by Daniel Gassner. Basically what it is to fight the Cold War. They had these stay behind armies after World War II where they buried a lot of weapons and explosives. And so what NATO did was they blew shit up and they blamed it on left-wing organizations, and they infiltrated left-wing organizations. Some of them they just created out of whole cloth. Like it was just like the Red Brigade that we heard a lot during the 80s. That whole thing was created by NATO. It was a fake leftist group that NATO created just to make the communists look bad. This went on for 20 years, and they found out later that almost every one of these terrorist attacks were fake. Not one of them was real. You look at that train bombing in Spain. That was bullshit. They found out that the explosives they were using were military explosives. You know, Russia was doing shit like this too. You know, Putin's not completely innocent of doing this kind of shit, because they had an attack on these apartment complexes in Russia where they found evidence of military grade explosives. You know, and they blamed it on the Chechens. You know, so this kind of shit goes on all the time. A really good book on the CIA is called The Devil's Chessboard. And that book was written by the editor of Salon magazine. And it's all about the history of the CIA and Alan Dulles.
I don't know, man. You're starting to sound like a conspiracy theorist to me, bro.
God damn it. Yeah, I know. I've talked to people on Facebook before. I was talking about Iran and the coup that the CIA had in Iran. And this one girl, she was in the goddamn military. And she was I think she was in the Air Force or something. And we were arguing on Facebook. She was calling me a conspiracy theorist because I was talking about the coup in Iran. So I said, wait a minute, I'll go show it to you, because I knew that these documents were released by the goddamn CIA itself. So I went to the CIA's website. I found the documents about the coup in Iran, and I gave her the fucking link. I go, here, the CIA itself has released documents about their coup in Iran. It's not a conspiracy theory, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
I hate being called a conspiracy theory.
I'm Jesse Ventura, and this is Conspiracy Theory.
When I merely talk about history, and I'll tell you why this is that goddamn Alex Jones.
I felt sorry for the people attacking me. Because, I mean, I'm like an insane killer ape. Because, I mean, I'm like an insane killer ape. Like an insane killer ape. You're gonna burn it out. 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 I'm just saying, you kill me, I kill you.
God damn it. You read some books about disinformation. What they do with disinformation is they'll get a nutcase like Alex Jones, and he'll tell part of the truth, and then he'll act crazy. And what it's called you poison the well. So that way, whenever anybody talks about the same subjects that Alex Jones talks about, they're ridiculed. They did the same thing with the National Enquirer. They put real stories in the National Enquirer and mixed that in with complete bullshit. The National Enquirer was bought by Gene Pope, who used to work for the CIA in psychological operations. So even before 9/11, we had the CIA working inside the United States. There's a documentary series. It's a 5-episode series called Counterintelligence. Maybe I'll find a link or something. If we post this video, I'll post some links to the documentary called Counterintelligence. And this talks about disinformation. And one of the episodes, they tell you straight up what disinformation is. And we've actually found evidence that Alex Jones worked for Stratfor. Stratfor is a corporate intelligence firm. And we've got, I'll tell you another good book to read. It's called Top Secret America. That was a series that Dana Priest wrote in the Washington Post. And eventually it became a Frontline episode on PBS Frontline. And then it became a book. I read the book, watched the documentary, read the series, and she estimates that our security services, our intelligence services, have grown tenfold since 9/11.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
that's why they're just like, we need more money, we need more taxes, we need more fun, we need to raise tax. It's all a fucking scam. This is what I'm trying to tell people. It's like they're diluting, they're bastardizing your currency. Meanwhile, Putin does this genius move, in my opinion, tying the ruble to the gold standard, and they're talking about, oh, they're fucking losing. It's like, dude, get your shit together, man. Get your wallet together, America.
I mean, just imagine, we've got evidence that the CIA was working inside the United States even before 9/11. So after we are attacked and our intelligence agencies have grown tenfold, you know they're working inside the fucking United States. They've even, it's in the Patriot Act. They can legally produce, the government can produce news stories and not even tell the American public that these are government-funded news stories. So at least all I'm saying is just be a little bit fucking skeptical of what they say on CNN. Jeez, I mean, grow up.
Yeah, there's disinformation and information everywhere, and just don't get. I tell people who like get caught up in a click or whatever online. They're just like, bro, you got to watch Alex Jones or you got to watch TYT or whoever.
Yeah, I don't watch. Yeah, I never liked Alex Jones. Never. I always felt that there was something weird about that guy. You know what else is weird about Alex Jones? Like before Facebook and before Twitter, if you were a big Alex Jones fan, you just go to his website, you watch his videos there, and he'd have this this comment section. Now, in the comment section, if you ever read it, it was crazy. It had some of the craziest, most dangerous sounding people. It had like militia members and all these constitutionalists talking about, I got guns in my basement and I'm ready for the Civil War.
Still
and that
is.
was that. Yeah, but that was in, you know, all the comment section was like, it was like 1 out of every 20 posts where somebody going, hey dude, man, what the fuck? You know, but the rest of it was like, they're ready for the goddamn revolution. So supposedly he's got all these crazy followers, but then what happens after YouTube, Twitter, Google, and Facebook took him down off of all those social media platforms? Nothing happened. Nothing got blown up. Nobody attacked YouTube. Nobody attacked, but you would think if you're reading about some of his I think all of his fucking followers are either fake bullshit bots or a bunch of idiots that aren't going to do shit anyway. Because after he got taken off of all those platforms, there was no violence whatsoever. Nothing fucking happened. That's why he's got to be a goddamn disinformation agent. There were some true fucking stories in the National Enquirer, and it was like 90% bullshit. So all of those true stories were completely ridiculed, so they would never end up in the real news. And that's called, what that's called is poisoning the well.
Yeah. I think people should be more, not listen to the opinion so much as just read everything. If you're interested about a subject, fuck all these like these so-called journalists and hacks who are just like, and also salesmen too, because they want to sell you something as well. Everybody does.
You can't just get all your news from one place, like get all your information from CNN. It's don't get all of your information from one source. I'm not talking about COVID. Obviously, that's a whole different subject.
I think we just need to fucking educate people if they can, if they're willing to listen, and just like fuck everybody else. That's my whole thing. And
I know this isn't, we're both supposed to be comedians. This isn't very funny, is it?
Oh no, it's not. No, like I'm just fucking dumb, and I just want to make sure that I'm not you know, getting the wrong shit, because people like to radicalize and form their own. Once they realize the system is fucked, then it's just like, oh, we got to form our own little clique, and then some people just they go off and do their own thing.
That's the best attitude to start off with. You should always tell yourself you're dumb, and you start from there. Because if you always feel like you're dumb, you're going to overcompensate. You're going to try to learn more. Just like whenever I went up on stage, I always felt like I wasn't funny. And so I'd end up being funny, but I never thought that I was funny, because once I started thinking I was funny, it's usually when I had a shitty show. So don't ever tell yourself you're smart. Don't ever tell yourself you're funny. Okay. Just do the shit, do the work.
Right.
And you'll notice there's a little bit of detachment there. You won't get so caught up on whether you're right or wrong or whether you succeed or fail. You know, you'll just know your shit.
James Inman, where can people find you, man? What do you have anything you want to plug or promote?
Watch the Unbookables movie. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Google Play. It's on YouTube. You can find it. You can buy the DVD, the Unbookables movie. It's directed by Jeff Pearson, and who just recently passed away a year ago. And so he would love it if you watch this movie. Those speakers right there, those are Jeff Pearson's speakers. After he died, he gave me those are Kef speakers. And I love the guy. I miss him. That's his picture up there. I was friends with him. I met him back in the 90s in Seattle, and he made the Unbookables. Watch that movie. Go read my book, The Greyhound Diary. Go buy my CDs on Amazon. I got 2 CDs out. I got one called Pander Monkey and Misogynist Clown. So listen to those CDs. And
all right, are you still performing or?
I'm really rusty. During all of COVID, I wasn't doing much comedy, but I can still do it. You know, I've done it. I started comedy 35 years ago. I could do comedy in my sleep. You know, it's just something I turn on and turn off. But I am a little rusty.
Oh yeah,
because of COVID.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta like get my shit together before I go do that. I always have to be like, I can't just be like a fucking miserable drunk every day and then hit the club. Like you think it's gonna be this fucking bourgeois lifestyle or whatever, or like it's nothing like it's so fucking it's miserable.
Don't drink every day. Drink once a month or drink once a week or something, but don't drink every day. That's fucking stupid.
Oh no, believe me, I fucking know, man. All right. Well,
all right.
Thanks.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Take care.
Okay.